After 6 years, Cube World has not only updated, but touts this update as the finished product. And it's not good. Cube World is an open world sandbox RPG where you explore lands, fight monsters, do quests, get loot, complete dungeons, craft equipment, and level up. Wait, no, you don't do that one. All of these activities range from uninspired and generic to completely unenjoyable. Let me break it down. After picking a class and a race, you start in the middle of nowhere, with no clue of what to do except for this tutorial blurb right here. And that's all the splainin' you're gonna get in this game. You'll wander around for a bit, and you'll probably come across some enemies, which are rated 1 to 5 stars for difficulty. If the enemy is 2 stars or above, you might as well not bother, because fighting it will result in your face being swiftly planted into the dirt. You almost certainly start near a town, so you go to it. It's not really clear what to do there, so you just talk to everyone, hearing about their favorite pets, the weather, and how they're going to be the greatest, insert class they are, ever. There's shops, but you have no money. There's crafting benches, but you have no materials. There's a guild leader that will let you swap your class specialization, which will activate OP mode if you happen to pick mage. Surely there must be something to do in this town, right? Well, you keep talking to people until one of them eventually gives you a quest. The quest works the same way as the enemies. It will be rated 1 to 5 stars. Hopefully, you will get a 1 to 2 star quest. Otherwise, you'll have to wander around until you find another quest. When you finally do find some enemies you can successfully beat up, you will discover that there is no experience, and enemies usually drop nothing but money. On the off chance that the enemy drops loot, it'll be for the wrong class. So you get to a quest objective. It's a big monster you need to kill, but it kills you. Over and over. That is, until you figure out the true solution to combat in this game. You eventually beat the boss after several minutes of either standing in place or running in circles stunning it repeatedly, and it drops some loot. Ah, progression at last. Don't go too far though. If you stray outside the region you found this piece of gear, it will essentially turn off and become useless. You heard and saw correctly. Gear is bound to the region you found it in. You eventually conquer your starting region and make your numbers big enough to destroy everything, and now you need to go back to getting destroyed by slimes. You become annoyed, exit and refund the game, and then make an angry Reddit thread about it. But seriously, that's pretty accurate. For a game about exploring and fighting, the two seem to work against each other and only manage to be slightly engaging anyway. The only people I see this game appealing to are people that want to grind a never-ending loot treadmill that also keeps resetting. The open world is mostly barren. The only things I ever came across were revived statues, enemies, crafting resource nodes, and the occasional shop or adventuring-friendly NPC. Anything else was always tied to a quest. I had one quest that was just to find a boat, and the boat was on top of a house. Now, mages can float upward for a second or two, so I could get it fine, but it took my friendo some top-tier parkouring to get to it. The boat was a pretty nice change of pace from swimming slowly, though. It was an enjoyable find. Just, don't go too far out in the water, because if you hit another region, poof, no more boat. Reminds me of the time I was going to the beach, but as soon as I hit the Florida state line, my car just vanished because I hadn't acquired any cars from Florida. Seriously though, the region locking on items isn't fun mechanically and doesn't make any in-world sense, or at least no reason is given. My sword just becomes less sharp in faraway lands? Is it homesick? There is Gear Plus, which is a little more experienced with travel than regular gear. You can take it one region over and it will still work. Past that and it'll still become useless though. I never found any when I was playing though, so rip. Let's talk about the combat. You have 4 moves: a basic attack, a secondary attack that stuns, a special attack with a long cooldown, and some sort of attack ability that you can achieve by pressing shift left click. I don't know what to call it. As you successfully hit enemies, you get a combo count, which increases your damage and attack speed, I think. I don't know, the game doesn't tell you, but when you attack enemies, those things happen, so it's the only explanation I've got. My attacks as a water mage healed me, or made a healing pool on the ground depending on the weapon, so eventually I was able to out-heal enemies and hold M1 on them as they swiped away at me in vain. Eventually we had to fight a 4-star boss though, and ooh, he was tough. And by tough, I mean we had to run around in circles and use our stun attacks whenever the stars above his head disappeared. He had absurd HP, so this took forever. Once we beat him, sweet, we had some epic 5-star gear we could destroy everything with. A big problem with the combat is that you essentially can't fight anything at the beginning, but if you can find a weapon, you can immediately fight much harder things. It took me forever to get that one piece of gear though. At around the 3-hour mark, I think we'd gotten a few pieces of gear, and that felt like the power level we should have started at, but we were halfway through the progression at that point. The enemies have basically no AI, they just kind of run at you or attack you if you're in range, and you have so few attacks that every combat encounter becomes either this, or this. Because the only way to make enemies harder is to give them 1,000,000 health and make them do a bunch of damage.
This is not a good combat system.
Also, 5 stars feels like not nearly enough enemy tiers. Trying to fight an enemy 1 star above you is almost impossible, and fighting enemies 1 star below you is a snooze. For a finished product, this game seems very unfinished, unpolished, or just broken. For instance...
Bro is so excited to blast them.
This is probably the most fun I had in the whole game. Hopping around on land in a boat. You can actually hop slightly faster than you can run too. If that doesn't say something about the game, I'm a land shark. If you're a water mage, you can also stay underwater forever. When your air runs out, you start taking ticks of damage. But it's okay because you have a full heal and your mana regenerates fast enough that you can never die. You can even use the boat underwater for a boost of speed. Intended gameplay. I mean, it could be, I don't know. Oh yeah, I forgot there's also crafting. You get books to craft more items, in the current region of course, from some quests. But you'll need so many crafting materials for it that you'll probably just not bother. Seriously, the crafting costs are pretty ridiculous compared to how many resource nodes you find. Maybe after you've done a few regions, you enter a new region and get a quest for the legendary crafting book, then... oh wait, finishing that quest gave me a legendary item. I'm not sure what this is for. Finally, there's dungeons in the game. This is probably the closest the gameplay ever approached enjoyable, as we delved below a town into a dungeon filled with enemies that we quickly killed. There were huge doors that we could open with an item we found on another quest, revealing loot rooms that gave us money. Deeper we ventured, jumping from platform to platform over hot lava and bottomless pits in what could loosely be described as platforming. Once we reached the end, there was an epic battle with a zombie boss, where we ran in circles stunning it for 7 actual minutes. After this engaging combat encounter, we received it, an artifact, a permanent upgrade that would be retained wherever we adventured. This game, it's not good. It's almost like a roguelite now, except the runs aren't separated and there's some loot that carries over. Does that make it a roguelite light? Rogueliter? Never mind, I don't freaking care. After we got our artifact, we decided life wasn't worth living anymore, and we were going to end our miserable cubic existence by jumping into the bottomless pit. It was nice knowing you, Keith. You know what? This is the game. You run around and find nothing, but are trapped in the nothing. Because if you leave the nothing, you will be nothing, and nothing can change that past a few fleeting moments. You can try to climb the nothing to find something, but your stamina will become nothing and you will lose grip on the nothing and fall back into nothing. The combat? Nothing. The NPCs are nothing. The quests, the world, the progression, the towns, all nothing. You know what's fun in this game? Nothing. If you like this video, press that like button or leave a comment. Engagement helps me appease the algorithm. I also have more videos like this if you want to subscribe. Anyway, 2 Lainz out.